Right, so hello and welcome back to another Reddit video. Today we're looking at more of the top posts of the week from r/EntitledParents. You have to have my item, it's Christmas. So I'd gone out to see my psychologist on Monday and I had a great session. On my way back home I decided to wander the city for a bit. I find it fun and we have virtually zero risk of the virus here, so I can be safe whilst doing it too. I was wandering through the store we'll call Bullseye that employs people with red shirts and was coming up near the register when I heard the sound of a feminine voice starting to rise. Me, being the nosy bitch I am, hung around to listen to the drama. "But you have to have it in stock," said the Karen. "Your website says that you do." "The website isn't always accurate," says the worker. "It's better to call the store." "But I need the item. Where else can I get it?" "You could probably try at another store," replied the employee. "But I don't want to go to another store," said the Karen. The manager hears this and walks over. "Hi," said the manager. "Can I help you?" The Karen then turns to the manager and says, "I need this item, but she," gesturing at the worker, "says that you don't have any in stock." "Unfortunately," said the manager, "it's a very popular item and we sold out quite quickly." "Well," said the Karen, "where else can I get one?" "You might be able to find one at another store," said the manager. "I won't go to another store. I want it at this store." "Well," says the manager, "we could order it in for you." "And how long would that take?" "Right now, about 2 weeks." "That's not going to work," snapped the Karen. "I need this freaking item for my kids for Christmas." "Please keep your voice to reasonable levels," said the manager. "F*** you. I'll yell if I want to. You're being stupid," shouted the Karen. The security guard was already en route, but hurried over after this. "I'm rescinding your right to shop here," said the security guard. "Please leave the store." "No," said the Karen. "I want my item." "Leave now," replied the security guard firmly. The Karen goes quiet for a moment and then spins on her heel and storms away quickly. Looking back, she says, "I'm going to call corporate. I know a high-up manager there. I swear to God, I'll..." Bang! Karen didn't see that the door was slow opening and promptly walked into it. Multiple people started to laugh at this point, including the security guard. The worker was hiding her face, and the manager was going through a titanic struggle to keep composure. The Karen made the decision then to turn around and start swearing at the people who were laughing. Shut up, all of you! I'm going to sue this store. You're all going to be jobless by Christmas Day." She turns to walk out the store, not realising that by this point she was behind the sensor range, and walked into the closed door. She let out a scream of rage and started pounding on the door. No one could hold back this time. Seeing someone storm into a closed door twice in a row was beyond hilarious. Everyone who was watching was howling with laughter. Open, you fucking cunt! Open!" The security guard walks forward and waves to the sensor, making the door open. Karen lets out another scream and storms out. A dose of karma straight to the face. Not once, but twice. It truly is a Christmas miracle. EntitledMother doesn't check that the movie isn't for kids and blames the employees. This is a short story, just saying. So about a few years back, me and a few friends went to a movie theatre to watch a movie called Kubo and the Two Strings. It may sound childish, and because it was animated, a lot of people thought it was for kids. Fun fact people, animated doesn't mean child friendly. It was also made by this company called Leica, the same that made Coraline, so they're gonna have some scary themes. Anyways, on to the story. So me and a few friends are waiting behind this person and she's holding a 4 to 6 year old boy, and the conversation goes something like this. "Oh, sorry ma'am," says the employee, "but this movie might be scary for your kid. I know it looks innocent, but it has some horror scenes." "Is this a joke?" says the entitled mother. What do you mean?" replied the employee. "I'm not an idiot. This is animated. It's for kids. Now just give me my ticket already." "He might be right, ma'am," I said. "Animated movies can be quite scary." "Excuse me," snapped back the entitled mother. "Who do you think you are? I'm an adult, and there's no way you know any better than me. You kids these days have no respect whatsoever." I stayed quiet. So we got our popcorn and sat down in our seats. The movie starts, and so far nothing much comes up except from a little bloody eye in the beginning that you can't see that much. Then the first quite scary scene comes up. We hear a child scream and almost everyone looks behind. "He gave me the wrong ticket," said the entitled mother. The entitled mother then storms out and starts yelling at a random employee. Some people get up, including me, to see what's happening, and after about a minute of arguing with the employee, she and her kid, who's still crying, get escorted out by security. People who think that just because a film is animated means it must be for kids are genuinely missing out on so much in this world. Kubo is such a perfect example too, like it's actually a masterpiece. Let my baby see the dog. I had an eventful Christmas. Between toxic family members and this situation, Lord knows I'm ready for 2021. So after an incredibly toxic family dinner, my wife and I decided to take our dogs on a walk. I have 2 dogs and both of them are rescues. The first one, named Miles, is Chonkmeister Supreme, super patient and super kind. The other dog, named Samson, is an anxious mess. He's abused and he barks at random strangers. He's a sweet boy, but we've been working on leash aggression. Anyway, we began our walk around our neighbourhood, and when my wife realised she forgot something, she and Samson quickly ran inside to grab it. As I'm waiting in our driveway, the entitled mother and her entitled brat walk by. It starts off as a normal neighbourly talk, and then we wish each other a very Merry Christmas. The entitled brat stops and pets Miles, which is completely fine with me. Miles likes attention, and he's a sweet dog who can handle it. The entitled mother continues talking when I hear a bark coming from our front door. I turn, and my wife is standing in the doorway. She sees the entitled mother and the entitled brat and goes back in the house waiting for them to leave. That's always our routine with Samson, as he needs a minute to get used to being on his leash. The entitled brat saw my other dog and ran over to the glass door to look at him. Samson is losing his shit behind the glass, and I quickly run over and try and explain the normal, he had a bad owner before we adopted him, so he's scared. The kid didn't care. He wanted to see Samson and he demanded to see him now. He put his hand on the doorknob to try and open it, and I lightly pushed his hand off it. The entitled mother ran over, and I expected her to explain to her kid why he couldn't just open up someone's door, especially during a pandemic. But instead, she yells at me for pushing his hand off. I was taken aback, but I apologised nonetheless. I just wanted them to get away from the door. The little boy kept screaming, saying that he wanted to see Samson, and I was trying to explain to the mum why that wasn't possible, and she just crossed her arms and frowned. If he's so violent, she said, maybe I should just call animal control. At this point, my mood was terrible. I looked at the woman and told her that she could get off my property now and wished her a Merry Christmas. She rolled her eyes and took the entitled brat by the hand and walked back to the street. She stands right in my driveway and crosses her arms, telling me that if I bring that dog out and it barks, she's going to call animal control. At this point, the entitled brat is still screaming for the dog, and I just look at my wife defeated. I felt like this was the type of woman who would follow us on the walk, just to be petty. So I walked back into the house, took my dogs off the harness, and my wife and I went on our walk without them. That was fine. When we got back, however, my grandfather was screaming at someone. My wife and I ran over to see our back gate open. The entitled brat and his older sibling were standing at the gate of our backyard, with my grandpa standing between them. They had a super soaker and were wanting to spray our dogs for being mean dogs. I took the water gun from them and I broke it. Then I tossed it into the street. This was probably a little overdramatic on my part, but if Samson was back there when they were sneaking in, this could have gone really wrong. They ran off crying and the entitled mother came waddling back to our house. We wouldn't answer the door, and so she stayed on our porch for 30 minutes, demanding we buy a new super soaker for her kids. When she finally left, she threatened to crack our gate open in the middle of the night so that the dogs would get out. Thankfully, my wife had the right mind to record this, so if anything happened, we could bring it to the authorities. All this to say, please just listen to people when they're working with a reactive dog. I actually did buy a lock this morning, which is securely on there as we speak. I bought Samson and Miles a treat because I thought it would be cute, and I was almost tempted to buy a super soaker and spray the kids if I ever see them walking around. Literally just have it there, locked and loaded. However, I remind myself that I'm an adult and I don't want to stir drama. Hopefully this is the last story of the entitled mother, the entitled brat, and his older sibling. Entitled neighbours like this never go away after just one meeting. If I were him, I would have just called the police for trespassing and got it on record. The fact that they came back in the first place means this one is far from over. My parents never told me about my lactose intolerance. Basically, as the title says, my parents just never decided to inform me that I was lactose intolerant. As a child, I never really liked milk, and cheese and yogurt were always quite iffy. The paediatrician was always extremely concerned about my calcium intake because I was borderline underweight and kind of brittle. My mum and grandma always fudged the truth with our paediatrician, as they were very obsessed with the image of being perfect parents. Ha! So as I got older, I started to notice that every time I drank chocolate milk, I got horrible heartburn that wouldn't go away with any form of heartburn medicine. It was a running joke in my family that I had mutant medicine resistant heartburn. Now, in my family, you don't go to the doctor unless something is broken or you're dying. Anything else is seen as weakness or annoyance, so nothing is done about my mutant heartburn. Eventually, my mum gets annoyed by me constantly complaining about heartburn and gets me Lactaid, while dropping, "Oh yeah, you had to be on soy formula because you weren't gaining weight for the first 2 months of your life on normal formula, and CPS was almost called." Cool. Love that. I'm 21 by the way, so it's not so much of a case of neglect anymore, as much as it is an annoyance. Obviously terrible parenting for never telling the guy, but how do you go 21 years of your life without realising you're lactose intolerant? Like, surely you'd put 2 and 2 together after a while. Anyway, that is unfortunately all we have time for today. If you enjoyed this video and you want to make sure you catch the next one, make sure you're subscribed down below so you don't miss out. Thank you for watching and listening, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye for now.